So what we're trying to do today is create a bill of materials with an exploded view and an assembly drawing. It sounds like a lot, but it's actually not too bad. So the very first thing we're going to start with are the parts that we need to draw. So here's where our part studio is. So I've created a cylinder, and I've created a right triangle, and I've just created a block that's got an arc in it. And I'm trying to keep these blocks similarly sized. That's really what we're up to. So we'll throw some dimensions up there, and here's a slide with all the dimensions that you'll need to draw those pieces. So you can pause the video if you need to get those. So we've already drawn those pieces in this case. So what we're going to do now is we're going to create a new assembly. So right down here I can just click assembly 1, right? So for the video though, I'm going to have to create a new assembly because we've already got an assembly 1. So here's my part studio, here's my assembly, right? So I'll go to insert, and here are all of my parts. So all I really got to do is just click them, and they'll go in there until I left click and place them. So I've got all my parts in. I'm going to hit the check mark now. What I'm up to now is I'm just going to put a basic assembly together. It doesn't have to be very elaborate at all. So I'm going to hit the fasten constraint right here, and I'm just going to fasten the rectangle on here somewhere. Now it went in upside down so I can flip it, and I'm going to use my offset. Now what I'm looking for here on this offset, you can see how it looks like the Y, it's going to go back and forth this way. X here looks like it's going to go this way, and Z is going to move it up and down. So I can go right here under the Y, and I can use the arrow keys on my keyboard, or I can use the wheel in the center of my mouse, or if I know the exact number I can type it in, right? But I can use the wheel on my mouse in there. I can use the arrow keys. All I'm trying to do is just move it over a little bit. I'm actually going to move it a little further and just kind of move it off of there because I'm trying to leave room for the circle up there. So I've got it there. I'm going to hit the check mark, and then I'm going to use a fasten constraint again, and I'm going to click the bottom of the cylinder and just put it on the block. And it came in upside down, so there's flip again. And it looks like my offset. I'm going to have to click offset here, and I'm going to just back it up. Looks like x-axis will get it. So I'm just using the wheel on my mouse this time. Alright, so I've got an assembly. I need to create an exploded view of this thing. An exploded view basically means we're going to pull it apart. Right over here, now notice I'm in assembly. We're used to that color wheel being over here, right? And we're in assembly now, so here's exploded views right here. So I'm going to click that, and then it says add exploded view. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to click that in, and then I'll come over here and click the part. As soon as I click the part, it gives me a series of arrows. So I'm going to drag it. I'm going to drag it off of there, really. Once I move it, I'll hit the check mark. I'm going to actually make it move this way too, and I'll hit the check mark. So anytime I make a move, I'm gonna hit the check mark. Now I'm gonna come over here to the cylinder. I'm gonna just move it this way. I made a move, so I hit the check mark. If I want, I can go ahead and click on the last part. Really didn't need to there. So I've made a move. I'm gonna click the check mark. Okay, and there is my exploded view. I'm done. We're trying to create this drawing here now based off of the assembly we put together. So I'm going to right click on assembly 1 and say create drawing of assembly 1. Right, and I'm going to actually leave it as no views this time. Normally we go to 4 and it puts them in for us, but we actually need no views because we're going to have to do some heavy customization for this to work well. So the first thing I'm going to do is I can put the assembly in, but what I really want is the exploded view. So for view orientation, I'm going to hit isometric. For explode in position, I'm going to choose explode 1. That's the one I just created. And I want to make sure that the scale is going to fit on the page, right? What I'll do now is I'm going to go up here, and this is the bill of materials table. So I'm going to click that, and I'm just going to put it, usually that goes up in a corner somewhere. So we'll put it there. So I got my bill of materials, and I could type in things if I needed to be more specific. But I'm also going to put some call outs on there. So I'll click the little call out button here, and I'm going to click on that shape, and it draws the line to part 1. Click on my cylinder, and it says that one's actually part 3. and I'm going to click on my little arc block. And I can go ahead and hit the exit right here, or the check mark rather. It tells me there's my exploded view and I got it labeled. And if I wanted to, I could come up here in the box and type in descriptions. Now one thing I've got left to do is I need to place a multi-view in here of the assembly. So I've got an exploded view. Now I'm going to go here and I'm going to say insert view. And I just want the assembly this time, so that's perfect. And I will say front view, and I'll just start right here. Here's the front view of that assembly. And what I'll do is just continue going. So there's a top view. I'll go back to project now. And I'll click here and just drag over so I can get a side view. And I'll do one more project. And honestly, we shouldn't have to do this. Most of the time when you hit project, it will allow you to do all four. So all I did was hit project. There's my front view, right? So I'm going to project everything off of that. And I've created a multi-view of the assembly. So here we have an exploded view. Here we have a multi-view of the assembly itself. And up here we have a bill of materials, or a BOM.